What is going on, everybody? This is TAETRO, and today we're going to be sampling my small instrument collection, just a few instruments that I've collected over the years, and we're going to be doing that with the Tascam portacapture X8, which is my new companion. This portable recorder is like a Swiss Army knife for music producers or anybody that's capturing audio out on the go. I want to thank Tascam for sponsoring this video and sending over the portacapture. You all know that I've been using Tascam recorders for a really long time before I even worked with Tascam, so this is amazing because this is truly a new generation of recorders for Tascam, in my opinion. Now, this is not going to be a full teardown of the whole device. You'll just see me sampling with it in a number of different applications. We're going to plug some guitar into it. We're going to record using the built-in mic, and we'll even plug in a condenser microphone to the portacapture with the purpose of capturing a bunch of samples that we can then turn into a cool beat, or what I hope is going to be a cool beat. Previously, we had recorders that had very rudimentary screens, and I had always yearned for something that was a little bit closer to the interface of a phone, a touch screen, and the portacapture X8 is just that, a touch screen with basically multiple apps on it. Apps that can get you quickly up and running, recording in a bunch of different common recording settings. Field recording, instrument recordings, even ASMR if that's what you're into. Jumping into one of these apps will get you access to different presets, different parameters, so you can more quickly get into recording. For instance, I'm going to record my handpan first, and I can actually apply some reverb to that if I use the instrument recording function. Now, I know obviously I referred to it as a handpan, but I'm using it with mallets, but what are you gonna do, sue me? Staying in the music recording app on the portacapture, I'm gonna record some wind instruments. This flute that I picked up at some antique shop, and an ocarina that I also found. So I actually really like putting reverb on the recordings of these. They are getting printed onto the recording, which is something you could do later, but I think it's fun in the moment if you're recording something to throw on some reverb, and there's a few different types of reverb, hall, plate, and small room, things like that. There's also compressor and limiter that you can apply, as well as EQ. So for a lot of things, that's really useful to me to just do a simple low cut where I don't really need any low frequencies. I would get some rumbly noise or something otherwise in a lot of cases. Very curious to see how it does with acoustic guitar, and I actually think it sounds quite good. Now, my acoustic guitar also happens to be electric, meaning that I can plug it in. So let's try plugging it into one of the combo jacks on the side and hearing the difference between the directly plugged in sound of the acoustic guitar. Now, as I'm doing some of these percussion instruments, I'm also going to start engaging a little bit of the noise gate, and that can be really helpful, especially maybe if you're doing voiceover or anything where there's a bit of a noisy background and you want to cut out any of that extra background noise while the mic isn't quite active. I found it pretty helpful, but there's 3 settings, and that is also very useful, so it's not too extreme if you don't want it to be. Now, for me, one of the best parts of my older Tascam recorders was the fact that I could swap the mics from being a less focused and more of a wide stereo field. And you can actually do that with the portacapture X8. We can sort of reverse these microphones on top and then give it this bunny ears look, but that will give us this epically wide sort of soundscape rather than just focused down the center. I especially like to do this for field recording so we can get a nice wide soundscape. And actually there's a field recording app that we can select, and if we go into that, there's even presets for nature or city, things like that. And now I guess since I'm capturing the sounds of downtown Los Angeles, I will go ahead and select the city function and let you take in the traffic sounds. It's not the most peaceful soundscape I've ever recorded, but it's definitely a place and a moment in time, just like a photograph. Now that I've captured a bunch of sample material that I can use to make a beat, I just want to give you a little bit of a rundown of the portacapture X8. So first of all, of course, we've got the mics on top. That's tracks 1 and 2. Then we've also got 4 combo jacks, 2 on each side. Those can fit XLR or instrument cables. They can also provide phantom power to a condenser microphone, which I'm going to hook up right now and record some vocals. This is an instance where having reverb on in the moment, I actually really enjoy. To keep going around the portacapture, I just want you to take notice of some of the ports. We've got a line out jack, and then we've also got a line input jack. You could send the line out to a camera and record audio directly in, or you can have a separate input like a microphone that takes this kind of cable, or any type of external source that takes that 1/8 jack. You've got the headphone output level knob. I do like having a dedicated knob for that. That's really great. And the LEDs on the bottom will help you notice when you're peaking, and it's also a good visual cue to know when you are actually recording because that solid light will be red. Pretty run-of-the-mill front-facing controls. You are using the touchscreen most of the time, but the big red knob can help you get in and refine more precisely different parameters as you go into the different menus and use the touchscreen with a combination of the big red knob. On the other side, we have a USB port. Now, this can be powered by USB. You could plug it directly into the wall or potentially a portable charger or your computer, but also it can take audio over USB. So you can actually run audio into this from a USB source. Not only that, it can be used as an audio interface. So here I just load up Ableton Live. I plug the Tascam portacapture X8 in, and it is immediately recognized as an input and output device. Now, I can, of course, use the external mics for that, but that also means I can use the internal mics. So this basically becomes a USB mic. And once you start hooking up a bunch of things to this, like all these ports, you realize that the portacapture X8, like I said at the beginning, really is that Swiss Army knife tool for musicians, music producers, etc. Because when I travel, sometimes I have to record podcasts, sometimes I just want to record field recordings, capture my performances while I'm on the go, different things like that, and I am truly unlimited with the portacapture X8. Whereas usually I might travel with my DR07 and my DR40. Obviously having 2 devices that do similar things is not ideal, but if I can now just travel with this one portacapture, it makes things so much easier. There are lots of other really cool features of the portacapture X8, like the ability to use Bluetooth along with a phone app, so you actually don't have to be in the same room as the recorder or even in arm's reach of the recorder to control it. And there's also cool little fail-safe methods that allow you to record a second recording at a lower input volume. That way, if anything peaks or if anything gets messed up in the original recording, you have a backup. Now I've collected a decent amount of samples here. I think it's time to put them all together and make a beat. You know, as I started working on this beat, I realized I use field recordings in 2 different ways. One way is more like a photograph. You capture a field recording and that space and time will never sound exactly the same again, and it can really bring you back to that place. So when you use it in your music, it creates a nostalgic feeling. And then when I'm capturing notes from an instrument, those now become colors that I can add to a palette. So using some of these samples, whether it's from my guitar or the ocarina or from the handpan, I'm not just going to use them in this beat. I can store them in my library and they become colors that I can now use And since I sampled them, they are truly mine. They will be distinctly mine throughout my music, and I really like that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. There's more information about the portacapture X8 in the description. And please subscribe for more live electronic music performances, tutorials, and content to make you a more productive producer.